Well, a very good evening and welcome to Les Sables d'Olonne for the finish of Miranda Merron, 22nd in the Vendée Globe on the Campagne de France. She's only a matter of a mile or so from the finish line, and a beautiful evening it is indeed for her finish. Relatively light winds. It's been a beautiful spring day, and Miranda has really been blessed with perfect conditions coming into the finish. And what an achievement this will be for Miranda, who started her professional sailing career really about 22, 23 years ago. Hugely accomplished offshore and ocean racing sailor, who really made the decision to do the Vendée Globe about 3 years ago. To reward the sponsors who have been with her, and Halvard Mabir, her partner, for so many years. There was the option to either go and do a Class 40 round the world record, or for the same budget, Miranda could do the Vendée Globe. And between them, we've worked extraordinarily hard before the start to get the boat to the start line. Very modest budget. Miranda there on the coach roof, enjoying seeing her team members, and in particular, I guess, Halvard and her close friends who have travelled from all over France. She's sailed with so many leading teams and individuals over the years, starting off way back with Tracy Edwards on Royal Sun Alliance back in 1998, and with Emma Richards and the Transat Jacques Vabre in 1999. And since then has continued to race professionally, pretty much a major race of some description every year, all the way through from the Rock Round Britain Volvo Ocean Race with Lisa MacDonald, Lisa Charles on Amer Sports in 2002, the Route de Rome, her first Route de Rome in an Amoca back in 2002 also, before moving into Class 40. And that was in 2007. So, as I say, nice, fairly gentle, benign conditions for Miranda as she comes into the finish line. Her time around about 101 days, which lies somewhere between the 90 days of Dominique Vavre, the Swiss skipper who finished 6th in 2012. And there, the cheers for Miranda from her support team, her friends and technical team. And Rich Wilson raced the boat in the last edition, came round his second Vendée Globe, completed it in 107 days. So say Miranda's time somewhere in between the two. So that's Miranda finished her Vendée Globe at 22:16:51 UTC. 22:16:51. What an accomplishment for Miranda Merron, the English skipper based in France, with this fabulous French sponsor, major dairy producer in the north of France, who have supported her on Halvard in Class 40 and on this round the world solo non-stop Vendée Globe. So Miranda's time, as I say, 22:16:51 finish time. Her elapsed time, 101 days, 8 hours, 56 minutes and 51 seconds. 21 days and 5 hours, 12 minutes and 5 seconds after the winner, Yannick Bestaven. So the job is done. Well done, Miranda Merron. I'm sure that she has so many friends and family and sailing friends watching from all around the world and cheering for her at this moment. She's a hugely popular skipper, and in a few seconds her team will be on board with her. That magical moment when she goes from a solo sailor to being fully supported by her team. No longer alone, but I think the key thing for me for Miranda's race has been she's so understated. She's accomplished this with the minimum of fuss, really, as is her way. And I think that comes from her age. She's 51, and she said that this Vendée Globe arrived for her at the right time in her life. Having done all these tens of thousands of ocean racing miles, solo, two-handed, fully crewed. And beautiful, beautiful images then of her joined by Harvard and her close associates, her friends and her team. No major damage to the boat. She's all her sails intact from what I remember. One or two minor skirmishes with the hydraulic system on the keel rams in the early stages of the race. Had a problem with the hook on her Genoa in the first week, I think it was. But otherwise, she's a sailor who really has enjoyed and relished the solitude time with her and her boat. It's also instructive to know that she's had no music at all, really. She likes to listen to the boat and what it's saying to her, and she's been pretty much in harmony with the boat all the time. She's taken a big storm in the Pacific and one big storm in the Indian, which she took in her stride. So our boat is the Owen Clark design, which was built originally for Dominique Vavre, the Swiss skipper, for the 2008-9 race. Completed the 2012-13 race. So for the statisticians, those of you who are running numbers all the time, well, on the theoretical course of 24,365 miles, Miranda's average speed is 10.01 knots. She sailed 27,656.17 miles, average 11.37 knots. So just by comparison with Clément Giraud, for example, Clément did 28,137. Miranda did 27,656, and Didac did 28,172. And just running back up to see 27,976 for Pip Hare. So that gives you a kind of indication of how efficient her courses are. Miranda, a very accomplished navigator in her own right. as she set off, her target was to simply to finish, really, to have a good time, to bring the boat back safely, to bring herself back safely. And she's done a fantastic job. So unfortunately, she has, as most of you will know, she's not going to catch the channel tonight. And it will be at 8 o'clock local time, French time, tomorrow morning that she'll come down the channel and join us for her press conference immediately after that. Miranda receiving so many plaudits from around the world in the last few days from her friends and ex-crew members and people she sailed with over the years. Tracy Edwards in particular saying yesterday that Miranda is her hero, and I think that applies to many, many of us who have enjoyed watching Miranda's career over the last 20-something years. Applause from our little assembled fleet of spectator boats. So she was saying earlier on in the day and last night when we last spoke to her, she was saying that she wouldn't let herself think about the finish line until she was almost there. She was concerned, as many of the skippers have been since Boris Herman's incident. She's been concerned about any last-minute dramas, and she's had none whatsoever. And so these are the moments to savor. The stress is over, the pressure is over, the job is done. And as I say, really, it was only 2019 when she did her first IMOCA race of this program, of this campaign. Was in 2019. She did the Bermude 1000 race and finished 13th. Did the Rolex Fastnet race that year as well. In the Transac Jacques Vabre in 2019, she was 23rd, and did the Vendée Arctic Les Sables d'Olonne race last year and finished 17th, and also the Défi Azimuth and finished 17th in that as well. So career best really for Miranda was in the 2014 Class 40 race in the Route de Rhum when she finished 6th. And it's such a different proposition doing a Route de Rhum to racing around the world in an IMOCA 60. And I know that having been with Miranda on that race, the Route de Rhum, she had an excellent start to the race and then just held on to the pace all the way to Itajaí it was then. So Miranda started sailing when she was only 9. She crewed with her father in an International 14, and then a few years after that, she did her first transatlantic with her family, sailing back from Canada. In fact, her family her father was working in Canada. He took up a new job in England, And so they sailed back to England, west to east in 1979 on a boat called Manitou the Fourth, which was a C&C 39. And her father was taking up a new job in England after 4 years in Canada. So there we go. Miranda having her first beer. From what I can see, that's what she was looking forward to. Interestingly enough, I think having her first beer is, she's had virtual beers and beers on Fridays when she's managed with Sam Davis, especially when Sam was out of the course after restarting out of South Africa. The two sailed together very, very first time way back with Tracy Edwards on that early Royal Sun Alliance program. And it was indeed in the beer tent in Cowes that Miranda first met Lisa Charles, who was on that program, and she introduced them. And she's really never looked back since then. Of course, flag for Normandy, where Miranda sponsors are and where she lives. But yeah, she took. She was working in advertising with J. Walter Thompson. She'd been working in advertising for 4 years before she got in tow with, say, Lisa Charles and with Tracy Edwards and co. Did the first record, I think, was Cows to Sam Mallow. And then did the Transat Jacques Vabre with Emma Richards, and really there was no going back to advertising after that. And it was really a talk by Naomi James way back when she was only 10 or 11 years old that is really what set her in mind of pursuing this kind of career. So that was when she was 10 years old, and she'd already accomplished the transatlantic crossing with her family. So her original ambitions, as I say before the start, were to get round. Ideally, she was looking to break the 90 days record of Dominic Vavra, but Dominic did push the board pretty hard, and that was a much faster race, particularly down the Atlantic and in the South Atlantic. This section of the race really struggled through the doldrums, if you remember, and in the part of the South Atlantic. But I would say that Miranda really came into her own in the South, both in the Indian and the Pacific. Sailed pretty prudent courses, all in all. So everything's settling down nicely on board Compagnie de France. Miranda, as I say, had her first beer. She'll be getting some nice food in a few minutes. And then I'm sure she'll have quite a pleasant evening with her technical team, with Halvard and some of our sailing friends who have all gone on board. And then we will join Miranda for her passage down the Les Sables d'Olonne channel, a well-earned passage down the Les Sables d'Olonne channel tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So do join us then, and we'll have our Miranda's press conference almost immediately afterwards. Usual procedure down the channel, then a few words at the pontoon, into the press conference, and time for a late breakfast. And as I said, I'm sure Miranda will have quite a pleasant evening catching up with her friends. She's been so keen to see so many people. I think she's enjoyed staying in touch with her friends from the sailing world all around the world. And she will be on the pontoon, I'm sure, at the weekend to welcome Sam Davis back. That's our live for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the channel for Miranda Merron and our press conference. We'll see you then.